Well, I have to admit that makes me feel marginally better, and this time of the year it's all about increments. But I am ready to get out there and camp for the first time this year, and I'm ready to do it earlier than ever. So in this video, I thought I'd bring you along as I test out some of the gear that I bought to help me camp in colder weather so I can get out there earlier in the spring and stay out there later in the fall. These are what we call the shoulder seasons, when you can have some nice bearable temperatures during the day, but it might get a little colder in the evenings, too cold to maybe be in a tent. So I've brought some warming elements that we're going to test out today. They're right over here. We've got the Kelty double wide sleeping bag that I've been really interested to try because I personally hate sleeping inside sleeping bags. They're too restrictive. I don't like feeling like a mummy in a coffin. I don't sleep on my back. I also got this little guy here. This is the Ignik Topside blanket. It's a heated blanket specifically made for camping to run off your 12-volt battery packs, just like this one. Now, this is on the larger side. I'll tell you why I chose to demo it with this one and test it with this one, but I do have smaller ones that it will run on. So come along with me in this video as we test out these two pieces of new gear to see just how early I can get out there and enjoy this weather. We're going to put a thermal imager on this heated blanket, see how much protection it provides, and talk about the comfort and quality of the double sleeping bag. We'll hop into this tent, see what it feels like, and maybe at the end, we'll all feel a little bit better. So let's go. Oh, you should come in here too. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is set up the sleeping bag inside of this standard 4-person tent. I think it's going to take up most of this floor room, but we'll test it out to see. Then we will go through all the features. I'll get inside because there's several things about this sleeping bag I'm interested to try out that are different than any other sleeping bag I've owned before. So go ahead and pull this out. I will say I like that the bottom of this bag has kind of a handle to hold on to, so you can pull these out. It's just notoriously hard to get sleeping bags and things like that out of their bags. This kind of has some suction built in. There we go. Let's see if we can figure out where the top and the bottom is. Okay, so we're oriented correctly. Laying this out here. So you can see it does fit nicely into this tent. It doesn't take up all the floor, but if I'm right here on top of it, you can probably visualize how big it is, and then I'll get inside to show you as well. But big enough for me to stretch my arms all the way out and my legs all the way out, and I'm as big as the sleeping bag. So probably 5 feet wide. We can throw a tape measure on it, but not all that important. I can totally see 2 people fitting in this. You might be pretty tight. There's one person here and another person here. So let's go ahead and take a good look at this from tip to toe. I've got several elements I want to talk about specifically. Let's start right here up top. You'll notice that you have a nice hood up top, which was something that I really needed. I know a lot of sleeping bags have this. It's nothing new, but it does allow you to stick your pillow under here so that it doesn't creep away from you at night. I also believe this curvature here, just this lip, and the fact that your zipper is on top of your bag, not over here on the side, does present a lot more opportunity to keep heat and warmth inside the bag. So this top hood here was a big deal for me. I wanted to make sure I had something that just did the maximum to keep heat inside. You'll see the zippers only come up to right here, and it leaves an opening all the way across. This is a pretty standard sleeping bag material. You know, I kind of wish the inside had, at least on the top blanket, maybe some microfiber or something a little bit softer, but that's where the topside heated blanket is going to come in. The zippers don't go all the way to the top. They stop here and just kind of create this head hole for you. I tend to be somebody that leaves these zippers down a little bit, but that's really nice that when you're all the way zipped up, you still have this nice hole. Now let's go ahead and open this up so I can show you what's inside. But before we do that, I want to give a big shout out to eTrailer for sponsoring today's video. You can buy both of these products at eTrailer. I'll leave links in the description below if you want to check those out for yourself. But if you are an RV or a camper, eTrailer is really the best place to buy anything online. They have the best support, the best products, and I've been using eTrailer for over a decade as a full-time RVer, a camper, and outdoor enthusiast, even long before I had this YouTube channel. So if you are looking for anything camping, RVing, trailer related, then head on over to eTrailer through the links in the description and get yourself what you need to get out there. I had to pre-unzip because that's hard to do with one hand, but these are good zippers. They don't seem to snag. You'll see just kind of pulling on them real easy how nicely they work. So that's a good sign. Interior and exterior pulls with little extension pieces of string or cord. But if you open this up inside, you're going to see not only do we have a different design, this is like little people standing on a hill. See, they're taking selfies, they're celebrating, they're having a good time. But inside here, you have a secondary, we're going to call it a secondary shell more than a blanket. This is kind of a thin layer that if you get too hot, which can happen even when you're in the coldest conditions, you don't want to sweat or anything like that. It creates an opportunity for you to get very cold and freeze, but you could unzip this top portion and inside you have a second layer coming from each side. So this is attached out here on this side, comes to a break in the middle, and you have two pieces, so two people. Each one of you would individually have your own little section of blanket. And again, this is a little thin layer, but just right if you were looking for something that was still a covering but didn't provide a lot of heat on top of you. So you could do that. My only gripe here is if I'm using this solo as a greedy person in a double camping sleeping bag by themselves, then there's a break right in the middle, right where I would want to be. So I'm not sure I'm going to use this that much. There is also not a zipper option on these. They are just flaps, no way to attach them, but that is pretty neat. It does have an interior flap or shell or extra layer or cover in there, both for heat and for cooling off when you want to take off the outer layer and just be inside your bag with a little covering. And now if we follow our zipper down to the back, we will see that we also have foot zippers on this sleeping bag. So you can individually from each side unzip your feet. We get in here. This one's going to be harder to do with one hand. I can't do it. Oh, there we go. I did it. Individually, you could either or both let your feet out the end. So there is a foot pocket. Again, just like the head pocket, a generous foot pocket on both sides that allows you to vent your feet should you so want. So if you had the person on this side that said, you know what, I am closing my side off, I'm cold, I'm keeping my feet nice and warm in there, this person could still vent their feet however they want. Two separate zipper systems that both come to an end right here. And I'll show you this once I get in the sleeping bag, but this is something I really like. You can visually see. I actually looked for a camping bag that had this. There is almost like a square bottom. See how this bottom portion has a definite seam right here and a flat bottom? That means when you're inside this bag, let me just go ahead and put my foot in there. Inside this bag with your feet up, there is room for it. It's almost like an extra cushy toe box on a shoe. If this seam came directly and met this seam back here, you would be pinched. And I've had that problem with sleeping bags in the past, but there's a big toe box in there that allows your feet to expand. So that's really nice. But that's enough about the materials of the sleeping bag. Let's go ahead and get inside so you can see just how well it functions with me inside of it. I'll give you some real feedback on that. All right, let's climb under here. I'm going to get underneath these side blankets. Whoa, pretty nice. Pull these up, zip myself in a little bit. I should have brought a pillow, but here we go. Now I'm trying to put my feet all the way on the back or all the way on the bottom. There we go. My feet are all the way on the bottom. So look how much headroom I have. I'm 6 foot tall, and this is as far down as my feet go. I can still stick my hands all the way up and extend them. So, I mean, if you're 6'4", 6'5", plenty of room, 6'6", plenty of room inside this sleeping bag for you to fit. You can see I could be all the way under the covers if I wanted to be. I've got enough room inside. Let's just check. Side to side, yeah. My arms are completely extended like that. Inside here, my legs are completely extended. Really roomy. And this is the real test for me. Can I turn? Oh yeah. Can I turn sideways? Yeah. Pretty comfortable. Can get all the way on the side here. Unzip. Let's say we want to go with our little layer. I gotta say, these side layers, I wish they overlapped more. Wouldn't that make more sense? You know, they just kind of meet in the middle. If they had more of an overlap, then that would be easier to use, but they don't. It's just kind of a novel feature. I guess if it was cooler, you could do something with that, but honestly, I wish there was a little bit more to that underlayer. But I bought this to stay really warm in cold weather, so I'm probably not going to be using those on their own. But yeah, once you're inside, very comfy, very roomy. Obviously, it's made for 2 people, so you can't complain about that. But the zipper system, easy to grab, easy to move around, haven't snagged yet, easy to get my feet out of the pockets, let them air out a little bit. Yeah, I mean, really comfortable digs in here. But in order to be really sure that we're warm enough, let's check out the Ignik Topside heated blanket that I also got to go in here. See if it fits with this sleeping bag size-wise, see how warm it gets, and see what we think about that. All right, so before we jump into the tent and throw the Topside heated blanket in there with the sleeping bag, do the thermal imaging, I thought we would quickly take a look at the materials, because these are a little different materials than what I'm used to with sleeping systems and heating pads. First off, the top is a lot like our sleeping bag. It's kind of this, you know, water repellent, swishy material. I'm not 100% sure why this has become the standard for sleeping bags, because it's not the most comfortable, but it's probably because mold and mildew resistant, all that stuff. So that's what you have on the outside. Then on the inside, you have this really comfortable suede or microfiber. I think I'm going to call it a microfiber material. And this material on the inside makes this blanket feel heavy and thick. It's got a substantial weight to it. So I like that, because when it comes to heat, I just want something substantial on me. And this microfiber is gonna be a little softer against the skin than this right here. So this is gonna be the inner layer underneath the top layer of the sleeping bag. And then the sleeping bag will be on top of that. Now, it comes with a tiny little bag, which if I had to guess, I would just call this rage bait, because they are trying to make me angry with a bag this lightweight and this small. In fact, I've already kind of ripped out the seam, pushing it in and out a couple times. This bag is just way too small. So good luck ever getting it back in this bag. I suggest finding something else to put it in. You do have to fold it over 2 or 3 times. We're not gonna go through that so you can see me get angry on camera, but I do like the blanket so far. Up here on the corner, you have a little pocket for your controls, and it has a zipper on it. Super lightweight little zipper, but a zipper nonetheless. And all of this cordage here can go inside the pocket of the blanket. So when you're not using it, when you're storing it, it's all stored right in there, just kind of held away. Then when you're ready to use it, inside the tent, you just pull this out, and this would be like in the upper left-hand corner. So this will be up by you, giving the orientation of the logos, which, by the way, they have this nice sewn on logo here on the bottom. It's a high quality piece. The hems are nice, the stitching is nice, but this is what you have for connections. Now, you probably saw me set this big behemoth power source on the ground next to our tent in the opening, and I can guarantee you, you don't need something this large or sophisticated to run this tiny little heat blanket. In fact, it requires very little electricity, and it runs on 12 volt. But I brought this so I could show you the three different ways to connect this blanket to whatever power source you have. So I'll start off with the most basic that requires what I'm going to call no adapters in quotes, because technically this is an adapter, but here is your handle. Right here, this is your control handle, and this is what comes out of it. Now, this is not a very typical connection, but this is a version of a 12-volt connection that we just so happen to have right here on this. We can plug that in and use it directly if you happen to have this specific type of plug for your 12 volt. But for most of you, you're going to run on this. This is your standard 12 volt input. You find these on power banks like this. You find these in cars, specifically camping vans, trucks, things like that. All sorts of 12 volt power sources have this input. So this is the input you're going to use, and you're going to plug it in just like this. Now, there is a third option where you have to buy a larger separate adapter, and that is the AC adapter. So it's a typical household plug right here. But if you have the typical household plug with this adapter and a 12 volt receiver / converter, because remember, this is 12 volt DC and it has to go to AC in order to use a regular plug. And you just plug these two things together like that. And then you can take your plug and place it in a power bank like this, or an extension cord if you're at a campsite, something like that, and you want to run this off of an extension cord. If you have shore power available, you can do that. So here's your main control system. A little closer up, it's probably obvious that you have a plus and a minus button, but what is a little less obvious is that the power button is built into this logo right here. So if you hold this triangle button, you're going to see the letters Ignik come up on the screen, and a 100, which is for the level of heat you have. So we can turn this anywhere between 10 all the way to 100. So obviously increments of 10, and this is for your percentage of power output. Now, if you take this little triangle button and instead of long holding it, just tap it, you will get a readout for the timer on this blanket. So it's a pretty simple function, just a timer and temperature. So tap it again, go to timer. You can set a timer anywhere from 10 hours all the way down to 1 hour. That way, or 1 hour. That way you will not burn the place down or forget to leave it on. It will shut itself off after a while. All right, so I've unplugged our power bank and run this through AC to the wall into a meter that will give us the most accurate output for how much power the blanket is using. So I'm going to go ahead and hold the power button here, turn it on, crank it up all the way to 100. And we're going to go see what our meter says here so you can figure out what kind of pull it's getting. So right now we're getting, between 45, maybe all the way up to 50. It's jumping a lot. It doesn't seem real consistent. I've seen it down at lower numbers like single digits, and then it'll jump up to almost 50. It's running at almost 0.50 amps, so half an amp, 0.44, 0.45. But yeah, now it's pulling 27 watts. We saw it all the way up, high 40s, almost 50. So I'd say you could count on 50 watts as the high, but it's going to jump around a little bit. I'm not sure what the science is behind that, but if you're trying to run something like this for 7 or 8 hours, just know maximum it's going to pull is 50 watts. If you're new around here, consider subscribing. And if you love the outdoors, you'll love this channel. We do lots of videos about camping, RVing, and the outdoors every single week. You don't want to miss a thing. Lots of cool products and adventures right here on the Traveler Toolkit. And it's free. Now we have the blanket back inside the tent, and you'll notice I have it flipped upside down so we can see the coils clearly. It's obviously got some insulation between the coils and the top side of the blanket, so it would be cooler because it's trying to lock in the heat down below. And I have my thermal imaging gun so we can see this. So here you can see a clear picture of these coils running up the center of the blanket. Notice there's nothing on the sides, just down the center of the blanket. And you have a heavier coil on the top. This is actually the top. We've got it flipped upside down. And then the bottom, much heavier kind of coil wind there. And then less coil in the middle. But overall, seems like really evenly dispersed heat. I'm seeing a max 72, 73 degrees right here. And, you know, compared to over here, just ambient room temperature right now, quite a bit cooler than that. This would keep you really warm inside a sleeping bag, kind of trapping that heat in there. So let's go ahead and jump in with it to see what the body feels. I had no idea these two would be so close in color, but they're pretty close. Didn't buy them necessarily to match, but wow, I also did not know they were gonna fit this well together. Look at the size of this. It's almost the exact same size as this double sleeping bag. That's funny because I didn't plan on it. You can see the microfiber underneath. And of course, I'm gonna put this underneath the main flap of the sleeping bag, not on top, so I can have access to the heat coils underneath the sleeping bag. So we would unzip this and pull the Ignik down in here to get full access to the heat. And then of course you still have your cords up here. You can pull it out, run it to your power system here on the left side, still be fully exposed while in the sleeping bag, or fully exposed to the heat rather, while you're in your sleeping bag, nice and cozy. Pull this up, done. All right, just to summarize, I'm really impressed with the features, the quality, the zippers, and the layout of this Kelty double wide sleeping bag. With one person, it's pure luxury. Two people, you're gonna be cozy, but you're still gonna have fun. And then this Ignik Topside heated blanket. I couldn't have asked for a better match for this sleeping bag. It may look kind of planned out, but I can assure you I'm not that organized. This was a happy accident. They go together really well, and I feel a lot more prepared for cold weather camping than I was last year. So if you're interested in this setup, I'll leave links in the description. As always, you can check this out for yourself. I'm ready to go. I hope you're ready to go. It's gonna be a fun spring and summer. A lot of stuff planned. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. We've got a lot of great content coming your way. As always, my name is Joel. This is the Traveler Toolkit, and I'll see you in the next video.